Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
The question that we are going to discuss now is, consider the following statements. Some mushrooms have medicinal properties, some mushrooms have psychoactive properties, some mushrooms have insecticidal properties, and some mushrooms have bioluminescent properties. And this question was asked in 2023 Prelims examination. And how many of the above statements are correct? That is what the question is. So, some mushrooms have medicinal properties, yes, and some have psychoactive properties, some have insecticidal properties, and some have bioluminescent properties. So all of these statements are correct. So the answer for this is all four. Okay, so we need to understand the background of this question, like from which current affairs this question was asked, and then we must also get into the details of each of the properties which is exhibited by different mushrooms. Okay, so see this is an article from Down to Earth, that is magical mushrooms scaling up Ganoderma lucidum cultivation will benefit farmers and users. This was the news. Okay, and these mushrooms have medicinal properties. Okay, and then for centuries they are being used for disease like diabetes, cancer, inflammation, ulcer, and even bacterial and skin infections. Okay, and these mushrooms are called as mushrooms of immortality, celestial herbs, auspicious herbs, or red reishi mushroom. Okay, so mushrooms have medicinal properties. This is very clear from this news article. So these are all the details which we need to extract from news articles. Okay, a news article about a mushroom is given, but what is our takeaway for exams? That it has medicinal properties. Okay, so that is what we have to focus, and these are called as magical mushrooms. So what are mushrooms that we need to understand? Mushrooms are actually a type of fungus, okay, which belong to the kingdom of fungi, and then they are valued for their unique flavors, textures, and even nutritional benefits. And here if you see, certain mushroom species such as reishi, maitek, and lion's mane have been studied for their potential medicinal properties, and they are used in traditional medicines. So mushrooms like these, reishi and maitek, they are being used as medicines. Okay, so they have medicinal properties. Okay, so these are the mushrooms. Next is, some mushrooms contain psychoactive compounds that can induce hallucinogenic effects when consumed. So certain mushrooms have psychoactive compounds also, certain mushrooms like these, and they are called as psilocybin mushrooms or magical mushrooms. Okay, so psychoactive compounds which are responsible for their effects is called as psilocybin, and when we ingest it, this psilocybin will get converted into psilocin in the body. Okay, so these are the mushrooms that we are talking about, that is which has psychoactive compounds in them, okay, which has hallucinogenic effects on human body. Okay, that is psilocybin mushrooms. So the second statement is also correct here. Next is, see this news, it is from the Indian Express. The mystery of the glowing mushrooms in Meghalaya. So this is about the bioluminescent property which is exhibited by certain mushrooms. This news article is about the bioluminescent property. So again, it is related to current affairs. That is what we need to understand here. So some mushrooms exhibit bioluminescent properties, which means they can produce and emit light. That is bioluminescence. Okay, so this phenomenon is known as bioluminescence, and it is relatively rare among fungi. Bioluminescent properties is not common in fungi, it is very rare. And one well-known example of bioluminescent mushroom is the species called as Panellus stypticus. Okay, and they are also commonly known as bitter oyster or styptic fungus. Moreover, most of the bioluminescent fungi belong to the genus called as Mycena. Okay, so whenever you study about a particular question from previous year questions, then you must have to extract what are all the details that can be applicable even now, and what are all the details that can be used or that can be asked in the upcoming exams. So such information are very important here. So they belong to a genus called as Mycena genus, that is bonnet mushrooms. Okay. So some mushrooms do possess insecticidal properties also. Like in the questions, we had 4 statements, and one of the statement was whether some mushrooms are having insecticidal properties or not. Yes, some mushrooms have insecticidal properties, and they produce natural compounds that can repel or even kill insects. And defense mechanisms for the mushrooms against insect pest. So it acts as the chemical that is released by these mushrooms, which acts as insecticidal properties, will repel any insects that is coming in close contact with it. Okay, so from these explanation we understood that some mushrooms have medicinal properties like reishi mushroom, and then some mushrooms have psychoactive properties like psilocybin mushroom. Next is some mushrooms have insecticidal properties like we saw in the previous slide, and then some mushrooms have bioluminescent properties. Example here is Panellus stypticus. Okay, so yes, all of the statements are right, so the answer here is all 4 are correct. Okay, I hope this is clear. This is how you have to integrate current affairs to your static problems.